Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Get my mic fixed there a little bit. Get myself fixed there a little bit more. How's everybody doing? I didn't even get into the chat a little bit. I usually get into the chat a little bit before the live, but I didn't today. Well, I did earlier, but I didn't like right before. And I saw that you sent me emails and I meant to look at them. And I like right before I got on the live and I forgot I'm going to look at them later. But I saw that I think there were pictures of your horses. You said yes. Horses, Alicia. I'm going to look at those. I want to see them. I bet they're beautiful. I bet they're beautiful. You're always out there feeding them and doing all kinds of stuff with them. So they must be taken care of very well. My brother has, he used to have horses. And I think I told you guys like 2 Tennessee Walkers, I think. And then he had a mini horse and his kids love them horses. They just, they live so far away from their property that they own for the farming and stuff. It was just my brother works an hour away from his house and then he lives an hour from his farm. So it would be like 2 hours at the end of the day. He's a welder in the union. So he would get exhausted at the end of the night. And I mean, 5 kids and he doesn't stop. The guy doesn't stop. So he just kind of had to get rid of the horses and they're going to end up building out there and getting some more. So I'm excited for him when he does that. Hi, Cindy. How are you doing? Hey, Isabel. Hey, Ivy. Hey, everyone. Welcome on in. Hey, Miss Linda. Hey, everybody. Welcome on in. I feel like my face is a little red tonight. I'm like warm tonight. It's warm in Ohio today, y'all. We have not had that like really hot weather. Remember I told you guys it hasn't been like a heat wave. Well, it caught up. It caught up today. It's been very, very, very warm today. And of course, right before the live, I was running around doing stuff. So of course I'm warm. But we'll let a couple more people come in. If you guys don't mind just taking a second to hit the like button, it does go a long way. Maybe it'll grab some people and it'll bring them in. So then if you also, I think pretty much everybody that's in here is as a member, but I like to put it into the chat in the beginning of the live. That way, if you guys want to become a member, it's there for you. Hey, Steve, what's up? So I tried to put this song over today, but I needed Vincent's expertise. I was like, I can't do this on my own. So I'm going to have it be a surprise. So you guys will be hearing it soon, but I love it. I think it's really nice. Before we get started, I'm going to sign into Fox Nation because I kind of forgot to do that earlier. And while that's doing that, I'm going to bring up this picture that I had up during the beginning of the stream. I thought it was a little bit bigger, so I'm going to blow it up a little bit. And we'll get into tonight what we're going to be talking about. This is like such a beautiful family. Oops. If I can get it to blow up anymore for you guys. Maybe not. I hate trackpads. I really do. I know I can do it. Just my hands don't like to work. Can I have someone else's hands? That's as good as I can get it to go. I know I can get it to be bigger. It just will not let me. Hi, Amanda. Welcome in. Hi, Happy Cappy. I like that name. That's got a ring to it. That's got a ring to it. Isabel, how's your doggy doing? Hopefully good. Oh, before we get started with the live, I'll tell you kind of a funny story if you want to hear one real quick. Vincent and I were out with the dogs, and there's a lady that lives in where we live. She lives with her mother. There's something different about her. There's something off, but I don't know what it is. But every time she sees me walking my dogs, she has this little dog. It looks like it belongs in like a show. You know, the dog with like the funky looking hair. It's like one of those dogs. And as soon as she sees my dogs, instead of like continuing to walk away, like, because my dogs are big and crazy, she'll stop and she'll just start screaming. She starts screaming. So she did this one time. This was like 2 years ago. And Vincent he didn't hear what I heard that day. We were trying to walk away from her. And she was yelling and screaming at me and I could hear her cussing at me, but he couldn't hear it, but I could hear it. And I could tell in her body language too, that she was pointing at me. And I stopped, or I went to start walking away. That's what I did. I started to walk away and she was like, yeah, you better walk away. As soon as she said that, I stopped. I was like, what'd she say? And Vincent was like, just keep walking, keep walking. I was like, no, because I'm extremely stubborn. I'm extremely stubborn. So I was walking away trying to just, de-escalate the situation. But when she said, just walk away, it took everything in my power just not to yell back at this woman because she was just yelling at me. I don't know what's wrong with her. There has to be something though, because she just yells. So today, Vincent got a little taste of it. But I don't know what she was doing. She had a water gun. We didn't notice she had a water gun in her hand, but she had her dog and we're trying to stay behind her, like far away so she has time to walk, and just kind of get out of the way. And we're sitting there for like 10 minutes and it's 90 some degrees outside and we can't walk anywhere because that's where we have to go home. And she started yelling towards us again. And he was like, what'd she say? Like he actually could see it this time. And she points her water gun at us and like acts like she's going to like take us out with her water gun. That was my story for the day. That's what happened to me. Crazy lady tried to shoot me with a water gun. I wish a bee would. Oh man. That's exactly, Amanda. She said, I take that as, hey, come back here. That's exactly how I took it. He grabbed my arm. I was like, what'd she say? Because it takes a lot to get me upset. It really, really does. I mean, really, you gotta do a lot to get me to where I'm really that upset. And she had me just so mad. Like I was walking away until she said, you just walk away. I was like, what'd she say to me? So today he heard her and she tried to shoot us with a water gun. And I'm like, if this was nighttime and we didn't know what she had in her hand and we didn't live in the safest of neighborhoods, this wouldn't have ended so great. But I'm just hoping and praying that she leaves us alone. If not, if I see her again and she does it again, I'm just going to go to the office. I don't know. I don't know what to do with her. I don't know what to do with her. But I figured I'd tell you my funny story about that. And I had that picture up and then I just stopped sharing the screen on accident. So now I got to zoom it back in for us. But yeah, that was my story. So yeah, this lady just like hates me and there we go. Hates me and my dogs. And that's okay because we're not for everybody. We're not. But I just don't want her little dog to get hurt. So I'm just like, I kept yelling at her. I was like, honey, just keep walking. Just keep walking, honey. I called her honey. Mm-hmm. Giovanna, I was talking about, there's a lady that lives in my apartment. She doesn't like it when I walk my dogs near her. So we're getting into case now. So this isn't part of it, but this is a part of the family we're going to be talking about. I think I'm going to get a squirt gun and just get her back. Like, what do I do about that? Like, I don't know. I was like, oh man, it's just something. It's always something. I figured a neighbor. Yeah, it is. And she's like not close, but she's always there. She's always there. But she takes care of the ducks. And I love her for that, But just don't tell me to walk away. Okay, I'm going to grab my drink and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's going on tonight. We're going to cover a new case on the channel. Yay, new case time. So this one tonight, we're going to bring in you. And if you're just coming in, welcome on in. If you don't mind just hitting the like button and saying hello in the chat. Say hi, hello. We'd love to have you. I love this picture. I've been looking at this picture like all day. I think it's so cute. I could never get me, Vincent, and 2 dogs and a cat to do that, let alone kids and looking all perfect like that. So I think this is a really pretty picture, cute picture. We go down here. I dropped the link in there if anyone wants to become channel members. Did I say hi to you, Summer? I don't know if I did. I don't know if I said hi to you. Tonight we're going to cover, like I said, a new case on the channel. This is going to be the death of Jared Bridegan. He is it's going to be a new case that I'm bringing to the channel. And hopefully if you guys, appreciate the case coverage and you guys want me to continue, we'll continue covering it. But he is 33 years old. He was 33 years old, a Microsoft senior design and manager. He just got that job. He was gunned down February 2022 as he was driving home with his 2-year-old daughter in Jacksonville Beach. Jared got out of the vehicle. He was approaching. He could see a tire in the middle of the road. So as he was approaching, he stopped his vehicle and did the right thing. Instead of just going around the tire, he wanted other people to be safe on the road, and he was going to get out of the car and move the tire, which I feel like a lot of people would. I feel like a lot of us would. But I did put together a really nice timeline and like little, like, I don't know what it's called, PowerPoint for you guys. Maybe that's what it's called. But we'll go over the timeline because that'll get us kind of caught up. And then if you guys do appreciate the case and you guys want me to continue, we can always go back and, really do like a deep dive and everything into it. So let me bring up the timeline. But this is his family here. I put the timeline on another screen. Make sure that you guys can see this okay. It's it's not like long, but just gonna put the chat over here so I can see the chat better. And welcome in, everybody. Thank you guys all for being here. Hey, Queen Olive. I like that name. I'm looking in the chat. Hey, Bree. Hey, Shell. Hey, guys. Hey, everybody. Hey, Kim. I sent out your necklaces today, Kim. Thank you so much. Okay. Is it going to let me go over? What's going on? Did I do it? Oh, I did it like this. I thought I had it to where I had like a little... Let me see something real quick. Usually you can present it better. Just go into present mode. Okay. Oops. Can everyone see that? I have the chat so far up I can't see. Man, my chat's like really back. Okay. Okay. Can everyone see that okay? I don't know why it won't let me see. So just let me know in the chat. Hey, Dawn. Yeah, you could tell he was. You could tell he looks like a good old country boy. But it says, I put like who he was. So who was Jared Bridegan? He was a 33-year-old Microsoft 33. I still can't get over how young that is. Microsoft executive and father of 4. He had 2 children with ex-wife Shanna Gardner-Fernandez, who lived in Jacksonville Beach, and 2 with current wife Kristen, or it might be Christian or Kristen. It's either Kristen or Christian. Bridegan in St. Augustine, because I've heard it like pronounced a couple different ways. How did Jared Bridegan die? So he was ambushed during his regular routine when it was time for him to drop off the 2 children he shared with his ex-wife. He was driving back home with one of his, with one of his other young daughters in the back seat when he came across a tire in the road. When he got out, he was gunned down at close range. Police said nothing appeared to have been stolen, and his wife had just spoken with him and said nothing seemed out of the ordinary. So he went to drop off, his, children with the ex-wife. And this isn't in here, but he stops to get his daughter, his youngest daughter, some ice cream for the ride home, and calls his wife and tells her, he loves her and he's on his way home. So it says, have there been any arrests? These are 2 of the people, Henry Arthur Tenon and Mario Fernandez. That name sounds familiar. It should. On Wednesday, January 25th, 2023, Jacksonville Beach Police Department Chief Gene Paul Smith and State Attorney Melissa Nelson announced the arrest of Henry Arthur Tenon, then 61, on charges of conspiracy to commit murder, second-degree murder with a weapon, accessory after the fact to a capital felony, and child abuse. And that's because his child was in the car when all this happened. Tenon pleaded guilty. on March 16th and agreed to testify against Mario Fernandez Saldana, who was arrested that same day in Orlando. The 34-year-old husband of Jared Bridegan's ex-wife, so the guy in the lower corner there, that is Jared Bridegan's ex-wife's husband. He is charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, solicitation to commit a capital felony, and child abuse. She's pleading not guilty, I think. That's what she's probably going to do. She's getting extradited as of right now. Because she booked it. So on August 17th, 2023, Bridegan's ex-wife, Shanna Gardner, was indicted on the same charges. She was arrested in the state of Washington where she was living. Nelson said prosecutors are seeking the death penalty against her and Fernandez Saldana. So her and her husband allegedly conspired, and they hired, I can't think of the guy's name now, sorry. Arthur Tenon. They hired him to be the gunman, but they're all being charged in the crime. But since he is saying, I'll plead guilty, the gunman is saying, I'm going to plead guilty and I'm going to testify to whatever you guys want me to say, he's going to get a deal. So he's not going to get the death penalty in exchange for his testimony. So it says, I already read all that. So that's her there. And it says, who is Henry Tenon? Tenon has 9 arrests in Jacksonville on minor offenses, according to jail records. He was already in jail awaiting trial for August 18th charges of possession of a weapon by a felon and driving with a suspended or revoked license on a third or subsequent conviction. That arrest report stated he had a shotgun in the trunk during a traffic stop. He had rented a home in the 5200 block of Potomac Avenue from Fernandez Saldana. The state attorney's office confirmed. So he rented property from the ex-wife's husband. I know that's very confusing, isn't it? So happy, I have a thing, I'll read it at the end too. I think she's actually not fighting it, which is surprising because I would be. I mean, I don't know. That's a death penalty case. I would probably be fighting it. I just don't, where did she, where did she go? Like, you know what I mean? She went from this guy that was, a Microsoft account executive to this guy. Like, I don't know. Is my picture showing up for you guys? I feel like, I don't know if they are. No, it's not. No one told me that. Okay, hold on. Let me share the screen with you. I've been doing this whole thing and you guys didn't even know. Now is it showing it? I'm gonna have to show. I'm probably just have to do it like this. I don't know why it's. There we go. There we go. Let's see. Sorry, guys. I don't know why it's not going into presentation mode and then not showing it. I just want to make sure it's on the screen for you guys because I didn't know. I thought it was just I thought my stuff just wasn't going fast enough. Okay, now it looks like it is. Just want to make sure it's really working. Okay, it is. Anyway, sorry guys. That's why I thought you guys, I didn't see anything in the chat that you guys couldn't see it. So sorry. That's what got you into true crime, Rita? Oh, I hear you there. It's been a long case. We're covering that one. So sorry guys. I thought you guys had seen my little presentation this whole time. That's okay though. You guys were just looking at me being cute. So It says here, who is Mario Fernandez Saldana? And this is the guy that the ex-wife is married to. I don't know. So Mario told the Times Union in June. I'm sorry, not Mario. I thought I was getting away with that, but that's not the right person. Sorry. Gardner-Fernandez told the Times Union in June that her husband manages rental properties and has been a big supporter during the ordeal. Fernandez Saldana and Gardner met at CrossFit Gym in 2018, where he was a maintenance man, according to an arrest warrant. I don't know. I don't know. He also was the subject of a Jacksonville Beach incident because a neighbor felt he was intimidating her because she feeds stray cats that he didn't like. She said he intentionally walked his pit bull right up to where she was feeding them, according to the 2018 incident report. Oh, thank you, Kim, for the super chat. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Thank you. He said he was just walking the dog and it was nothing malicious. The officer advised him about the municipal ordinance involving dangerous dogs and suggested he contacted animal control if he has a problem with feral cats. Fox News also reported other run-ins and threats involving Fernandez Saldana over the cats. That's crazy. Like, I don't know why would those cats bother you so much that you have to take your pit bull over near them? I don't know. And so this is the ex-wife here, who is Shanna Gardner-Fernandez. Gardner-Fernandez, 35, is Bridegan's ex-wife. She drew immediate scrutiny due to the couple's ugly divorce and not attending his funeral or initially speaking out. She and Bridegan were married in 2010 and divorced in 2015. They shared custody of the twins. She married second husband Mario Fernandez Saldana in 2018 and runs a baking company, Beach Bake 904. I feel for Jared's family and what they are going through. I can't even imagine, she told the Times Union in June. I have tried to be respectful. I have tried to give them space. Now that we know, And it's asking why, why did Shanna hire an attorney? Early on, she hired prominent Jacksonville defense attorney Hank Cox to help protect her family from the publicity and sensationalization that included invasive photos of her and her children at a local park and implications she was involved in the shooting. She said the intense media coverage has become very loud and it made her children feel unsafe. My kids are 10. They understand everything that is going on. They see this and they are scared, terrified, and struggling. Kind of sounds like Corey Richards a little bit, like with her children's book. I'm here for my grieving children, So what happened in the divorce between Jared and Shanna? So Shanna is from Utah and met Jared while visiting a friend in Florida in 2009. They married in 2010 in Salt Lake City. I will say she's very fast to marry the guys because I think she met her second husband in 2018 and she married him in 2018. So that's a long time. Let me know in the chat how long you were with your significant other before you guys got married. I'd like to know that. And I'll make sure I keep my eye out on the chat. So I'd like to know that. Yeah. How long were you and your significant other before you got married? Because everyone's kind of different, older generations. I mean, they were younger, like older than me, if like 20, 30 years older than me, they could have been younger. My age, it's like anywhere, really. Some of us aren't even married. Then 20 somethings, I don't see them getting married as often, but 2 months, Jan. Wow. Mary Beth, 1 year. Kaylee, 7 years before we married. Summer, 3 years. Wow. 6 years. You started dating at 17. That's so cute, Liberty. 2 years, 2 months, 1 year, 8 years. I like that. 2 years, 18 years, and still nothing. Amanda, I feel that. That made me giggle. 10 years. Man, that's a long time, Sweet and Sleuthy, too. I mean, no, me and Vince have been together for 8. Or has it been 8 yet? Or has it been, are we going on 9? I don't even know. It's been a long time. I love that. 10 years? Almost 16 years? I always have, why fix something that isn't broken? Yeah, that's true. That is true. Oh, shit. I tried to show the comment, and Summer's always faster than me. It sounds like the Riddler's laugh. That's funny. So I have friends. They were 13 years old when they got together. They were their first boyfriend and girlfriend, and they are married with 6 children. They've been married they're my age, 37, 38. So forever. They still act like they're teenagers, and I just think that they're like the cutest couple ever. So I love them for that. Like 6 kids. They even moved to Alaska. That's love. But that's really cool. See, you guys waited a while. Some of you guys didn't, though. Sometimes you just don't need to. I feel like when you know, you know. But if you rush into something the first time, and it doesn't work out for you, like you get married after like a year or, maybe you want to wait a little longer the next time, especially if there's children, in the mix. And there would have been. And so 2015, they were, so their kids were like 3? Yeah, so that's pretty young. Because they have twins, so. It says here, it says, where am I at? At some point, they moved to Connecticut and started having trouble involving her and her personal trainer, according to Fox News, although she denied to the Times-Union that she had an affair. She filed for divorce in February 2015 and sought primary custody of their twin children. The court file has about 300 entries and motions. Gardner-Fernandez accused Bridegan of disturbing and abusive behavior towards their children, and he accused her of spying on him and treating him in a disparaging manner in front of their children. She declined to comment on the details of the divorce with the Times-Union, explaining that I don't see any good in airing our dirty laundry. Our relationship was pretty complicated and remained pretty complicated. And where is Shanna Gardner-Fernandez now? This was right before she was arrested. So property records show the couple still owned their Marsh Inlet Court home in Jacksonville Beach, but it also had been up for sale at some point. Before her husband's arrest, Gardner-Fernandez quietly moved across the country with the twins to a home recently purchased by her parents in West Richland, Washington. They noted it was not with her husband, who is Kirsten, or I think it's Kirsten Bridegan. Kirsten Bridegan, who has 2 young children with Jared, as his 31-year-old widow, previously was an account manager before taking on the role of full-time mom. She has been proactive in trying to make sure Jared's story isn't forgotten, creating the Instagram account Justice for Jared B. and the Bridegan Foundation, but also is sometimes fearful for her and her family's safety. What did Kristen Bridegan say about the arrest? And did she know Henry Tenon? Move my fan a little bit. It was making my legs a little cold. Kristen Bridegan told WJXT TV4, it is pretty clear that someone knew his route, his schedule. I have felt since the beginning that this was planned, this was thought out, and this was specific to Jared. So I'm not surprised that they announced that Henry Tenon, someone that we have never heard of, that Jared did not know, wasn't alone in this. What did Jared Bridegan's brother have to say about what happened? And you'll also hear from his wife and from his brother on the Nancy Grace video today too. They're on her video. It says, I won't get into specifics, but I did have several conversations with Jared where he did express concerns that something like this could happen to him. Adam Bridegan told WJXT TV4. He did have concerns on his life. So what happened at Henry Tenon's arraignment and how did he plead? So Tenon pleaded not guilty to all counts on February 13th, just 3 days shy of the anniversary of Jared's death. Jared's widow was there and saw him in person for the first time. She said she is praying for his family and urged him to cooperate. Henry, if you get to hear this, please choose now to do the right thing, Kirsten Bridegan said. Please help us to receive justice sooner rather than later and allow us and your own family to move forward and focus on healing as quickly as possible. Please help us in this nightmare that we are living every single day. By agreeing to the plea to plead guilty, because he ended up changing. So how many years in prison does Henry Tenon face? By agreeing to plead guilty to second-degree murder, Tenon will be sentenced to at least 15 years in prison and up to life according to the plea agreement. In accepting the March 16th guilty plea for second-degree murder with a weapon, the state waives the sentencing guidelines. The defendant agrees to testify truthfully against any co-defendants. The state will drop counts 2, 3, and 4 at the time of sentencing, the agreement reads. Those counts were for charges of conspiracy to commit murder, accessory after the fact to a capital felony, and child abuse. Both parties acknowledge that the sentencing court will give weight to the defendant's life expectancy, his early and continuing cooperation in the prosecution of co-defendants, and will hear all parties, including members of the victim's family, in considering the appropriate sentence, the agreement reads. Grab my vape real quick. Oh, thank you, Kim. I just saw that you said you liked my boutique. I love that. Thank you. It's pretty cute. I'm pretty proud of it. I need to get some more stuff for over there, though. I really do. I'm going to California in a few weeks, so like it's so fast. It's so fast. We literally, I knew we were going because we go every year, but I just found out last night we're going, I think the 7th, the 10th through the 17th. I don't know. I'll have to ask Vincent. But it's going to be like the middle, not the middle, but like the beginning, middle of September. So, but I still will be doing lives just from LA. How did Mario Fernandez Saldana plead? On April 4th, he pleaded not guilty to all counts. And I'll also be posting a bunch of stuff for the members only because it'll be a nice like little thing for you guys for the, trip pictures and stuff. So does Mario Fernandez Saldana face the death penalty? On May 3rd, Assistant State's Attorney Christina Stifler gave notice that the prosecution is seeking the death penalty against Fernandez Saldana. And that is all of it. That's all I have. That's all I have for now. And then we'll get even more caught up because we're going to watch these videos. But that's just kind of like the groundwork. Basically, 33-year-old male, like this 33 years old, 4 babies, supposed to be enjoying the prime of his life. He just got an awesome new job as I have to read the whole thing because it's long. Microsoft Senior Design Manager. That sounds like a fun job. I'm not good at design or anything like that. Like I'm not good at drawing, but I'm sure that was, cool job. Excited for his babies, his wife, their future together. And it was all taken from him. So by his ex-wife. They weren't together anymore. They hadn't been. She was remarried 4 years later. 3 years later, she got married again. So it was like, and her parents are very wealthy. And I guess they bought her a house like in Washington or wherever she was when it was Washington when they arrested her. So she's 35. She's 35. And she's still riding on the coattails of her parents. So it's just very strange to me. Let me get this up for us. If you guys are just now joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you guys don't mind just taking a second to hit the like button, it really helps. And I really thank you guys for being here. I'm going to hit play. It's going to be loud for a second. I'm going to try to catch it before it's really loud. Always try to get it. And then tomorrow we are going to, I got it. Okay. Tomorrow we are going to I think, go over the Rachel Morin case again. Just go back over it. Nancy Grace put out another video, and I saw we can watch that. But then maybe we'll do more of a deep dive into that case, and see what's going on. I have a bug bite on my arm. I'm sorry, guys. If you see me over here just scratching to death, that's what it is. I'm hating life right now with the bug bite on my arm. So let me get this up for us. And sorry, you guys didn't see like the first half of my presentation. I didn't know that you guys couldn't see. Just making sure my candle's okay back there. Okay, let me move this over here again. And thanks, guys, again for being here. I really appreciate it. So since we're done with the timeline now, we'll go ahead and we'll start with Nancy Grace. So she spoke with Jared's widow and Jared's brother about what happened, what's going on, the arrests, and what they think of everything so far. It's a little bit shorter than her other videos. It's 36 minutes. Her other videos are usually like 45. So I'll try to play it like, pretty. I'll try not to pause it too much. That's what I'll say. But if you guys don't mind, just hit the like button. I'm going to put the membership in the chat if you want to, or the link in the chat to become a member. If you'd like to become a member of our channel, we'd love to have you. Or if you just want to subscribe and like the video, we'd love to have that too. Okay, so it is a little bit loud at first, but I'll turn it up slowly. So.
In the last hours, bombshell, a Microsoft executive, a father, a loving husband, ambushed, found dead on a lonely one-way street. Mystery ensued, and in the last hours, his bitter ex-wife indicted in connection with his murder. Justice? I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us here at Fox Nation and Sirius XM 111. First of all, take a listen to this.
I know I said I wouldn't pause it, but I wanted to let you guys know I listened to this today on a podcast, so I didn't get to see her face, but Nancy sounded like she was super emotional in this video. Like she gets emotional. It's really sad because you don't really get to see Nancy like that.
For 547
she's always a firecracker.
Days, we've hoped and prayed that this day would come. Our hearts will always be full of deep gratitude for the men and women who have worked tirelessly to bring justice forward in Jared's case. We're also deeply grateful for the prayers that have been offered on our behalf. Shanna's arrest ends one horrific chapter of our pursuit for justice for Jared, and now we open a new one. This next chapter will be excruciating. But we are confident in the ability of the state's attorney's office and law enforcement to bring truth to light. We expect to see justice carried out to the fullest extent of the law.
You are hearing the voice of Jared's widow, Kirsten Bridegan, and joining us right now is Kirsten Bridegan and Jared's brother, Adam. Thank you to both of you for being with us on this day following such upheaval in your lives. Kirsten, when I hear your voice, you're talking about justice and this mark in your pursuit of justice, that being the arrest.
Just going to pause it for a minute. I know you guys hate me when I do that. And I usually don't. But can you imagine her, like, when I heard this today, it broke my heart because I haven't never heard of this case before, like yesterday. And I didn't start really looking into it till like last night. And then today I was hitting it pretty hard because I was like, wow, this is really devastating. He was divorced in 2015. She gets remarried 2018. I'm not sure exactly when they got married. I'll have to look that up, the year that they got married. But they weren't even, it was like custody stuff that only They didn't talk to each other. Everything was written out into notes and it was like sent back and forth between each other because they couldn't come to an agreement on anything. And I guess she kept taking them to court, and it was like stuff that they should be able to come to an agreement on outside of a courtroom, but she just didn't want to do that. So this one's a crazy one. Hey, Brett, how are you? Welcome on in. I have a bug bite on my arm. I still keep scratching it. I need some clear nail polish. I don't know if I have any. I should. That usually works. I feel like if I like itch someplace, I will start itching everywhere. I don't know if you guys are like that, but I just wanted to point that out. I think that's just so sad. Such a sad story. This is such a tragedy.
Of your husband's ex-wife. How did you feel when you learned a formal charge against her had been filed?
Nancy, it was really mixed feelings. There was elation, celebration. There was a heartache when I immediately thought about what that means for the twins. There was caution and anxiety about, has everything been done by the book? We just want everything to stick. So it was a very mixed bag, but overall, a good feeling that justice is moving forward for our family.
Throughout these proceedings, did you have any doubt that your husband's ex-wife would be brought to justice?
I have had an oddly calm sense that things would work out since very early on. But in addition to that feeling that don't worry, it'll work out, there have been moments where I have had concerns of if she will ever face charges for what she's done, what I had thought she'd done, and just hoping and praying very, very hard for the last, almost a year and a half, that my feeling would be accurate and that we would see this day, and more importantly, that we will see a conviction.
Kirsten, you said that you believe your road ahead is going to be, and I quote, excruciating. I know this is not going to make it better, but you're right. Living through the murder trial of the guy that shot my fiance was, I will never forget it as long as I live. But it's necessary for your children to grow up one day and remember their mother took the hit. Their mother was brave and went through this for them. Can you imagine how it would be for your children if there was no justice?
I can't. That's a big reason why I've been fighting so hard from day one, is I want them to know who did this to our family, and I want them to know that they are safe, that those people are behind bars and cannot hurt us further than they already have.
I'm going to an all-star panel to make sense of what we know right now and why finally, after all of these months, this indictment goes down against the bitter ex-wife of this fine father and husband. Also with me, in addition to Kirsten, is Adam Bridegan. This is Jared's brother. Adam, what went through your mind when you learned that your brother's ex had finally been indicted?
It's such a surreal place to be in. It is the best way for me to describe it, right? I think anyone listening would have kind of the common human emotions of elation and happiness, but it really is mixed in the sense that we feel peace knowing that we have answers and that we have peace for our family, knowing that these individuals are now behind bars. But it's the pain is, as you outlined in your story, it's incomprehensible for regular people who haven't experienced this type of loss, right? The ripple effect that this has on lives, it brings us so much pain knowing that these 4 children have to grow up and they have to hear about this story, right? For the rest of their lives, that they will, when they learn about the trial and they learn about all the evidence, we as adults have to endure this, right? But they will be exposed to it and they will have to learn about this. And that is for us as a family, it is truly gut-wrenching, right? To know that they will have to hear about these things in the media, they will have to read about them and study about them. And that part, and knowing that the family has been ripped apart, that's the really pain that we feel. So to answer your question, it really is a mixed bag of emotions.
No, Kirsten, and panel, please just hang tight with me just one moment. I'm going to get right back with you all. You know, Kirsten, Adam, it changes everything, which I don't know if you get that yet, because you've had to deal with the shock of the murder, the funeral, the investigation, the dragging it out, the prolongment of the investigation. And I heard you say crossing T's and dotting I's, and I believe that's what law enforcement was doing during these months prior to your husband's ex being indicted. But it really affects the way you live from now on, like how you raise your children, how you live your life. It's going to affect your children, how they grow up, how they raise their children. God willing, they get the joy of having children. Because I know in my case, I watch mine like a hawk, because I'm afraid something else horrible will take away the thing I love the most, them. So it's, you know, it's a balancing act, but that's a long way ahead of you. Now we have the trial to deal with and getting your family through that. For those of you just joining us in the last hours, finally, an indictment of the bitter ex-wife of a wonderful man, Jared Bridegan, a father, a husband, just full of love, everything centered around his family. What more do we know at this hour? Take a listen to the Florida State's attorney.
This investigation has uncovered the truth of Jared's murder. Henry Tenon did not act alone. Mario Fernandez did not plan alone. And Shanna Gardner's indictment acknowledges her central and key role in the cold, calculated, and premeditated murder of Jared Bridegan.
Police say in February 2022, Bridegan got out of his car to move a tire in the road when he was shot multiple times. Two possible connections to Tenon and Bridegan are records showing Tenon rented a house from a man who is married to Bridegan's ex-wife. And Tenon's tenant told News4Jax that Tenon drove a blue color or two-toned F-150, a similar description of a truck investigators believe was involved in the murder.
You're also just then hearing our friends over at WJXT, two renowned professor of forensics at Jacksonville State University, author of Blood Beneath My Feet, host of a hit series, Body Bags with Joseph Scott Morgan. Joe Scott, do you remember how we would push it out, talk about it, trying to get somebody to remember seeing that vehicle? Do you remember that on that dark night when Jared was essentially ambushed on that one-way street?
Yes, I do, Nancy. And I got to say, there's no potential here. He was out and out ambushed. This was planned. You and I talked about this extensively on, this darkened stretch of road where there's no cameras, there's no lighting. You've got wooded areas on literally both sides of the road. Road kind of dips down.
The vehicle, that was the key.
Yeah, it was the vehicle. And, they had the grainy videography for a period of time. And this ties back to this central character in all of this, where, we have a piece that ties all of this back. And a lot of this is going to hinge on this Henry Tenon,
right,
that has previously been arrested.
Kirsten Bridegan and Adam Bridegan, wife and brother. We hear the state's attorney general speaking of uncovering the truth. All right, from the get-go, many of us believed that the ex, Shanna Gardner-Fernandez, who comes from a lap of luxury, her parents millionaires, I mean, why couldn't this woman be happy, was behind the murder of your husband. When the state's attorney talks about uncovering the truth, what truth? What do you believe is the state's attorney's theory in this case, Kirsten?
They've been very tight-lipped about a lot of evidence and things that they have with this case, so I can't really speak to that. But I have confidence that they know what they're doing, and we'll see it play out in court.
I understand what you're saying at this juncture. We don't want Kirsten or Adam or anyone else connected to the case blurting out information that the state's attorney wants to keep secret. That said, there's got to be an arrest warrant for the ex. And can I ask you this, Kirsten? Why has she been so angry and bitter? She's the one that caused all the problems in the marriage. So she gets a divorce. Fine, have it. Why couldn't Jared just go be happy with you?
That's the question I had myself. You know, every time we were dragged back to court over the dumbest things that we had tried to work out via email or text, we asked ourselves the same question, like, why can't we have a good co-parenting relationship? Why can't we just focus on the kids being happy? Why can't she be happy in her life and we be happy in ours? I wish I knew, but I don't know what goes on inside of her head. I think that would be a very dark place to be, and I don't know.
Joining us, Rebecca Rosenberg, Fox News Digital investigative reporter, author of At Any Cost, and you can find her at RebeccaFayRosenberg.com. Rebecca, thank you for being with us. Any idea what the state's theory is going to be? I can tell you this much. There's one co-defendant that's going to turn state's evidence, and it's been very clear that there will be a death penalty sought in this case. You've got the ex-wife, Shanna Gardner-Fernandez, age 35, charged with murder 1. We've got Henry Tenon, who we believe pulled the trigger at the behest of the ex-wife. And we've got Mario Fernandez Saldana, 34, the new husband. So what happened? What was the straw that broke the camel's back? What was the final piece of evidence that has resulted in an indictment?
Hi, Nancy. Thank you for having me. You know, I really don't know. As Kirsten said, the state attorney's office has been very tight-lipped. It was kind of surprised when the indictment came down against her, but they definitely started in this circle with Henry Tenon first, who they've said they believe was the shooter. And then it led to the next arrest of her husband, Mario Fernandez, and then now it's her. So I would imagine they have the most evidence against Tenon, and they're working their way in. But I think the big question now is that the pressure's on between Shanna Gardner-Fernandez and her husband, Mario Fernandez. Will one of them flip on the other? They're both now in jail, charged, and potentially facing the death penalty. You have to imagine somebody's going to reach for a life draft.
Right. Well, I mean, we're going to get the testimony from Tenon. And I can tell you, and anybody jump in, Robert Crispin joining me, private investigator joining us. Crispin, Special Investigations, former federal task force officer with the Department of Justice, also with the DEA in Miami, former homicide and crimes against children investigator. And you can find him at CrispinInvestigations.com. Crispin, I'll tell you how they did it. I mean, I don't have to be a brain surgeon to figure this out. You've got the alleged trigger man, Henry Tenon. What does Henry Tenon drive? Henry Tenon drives a blue color or two-toned F-150. You can spot an F-150 or a Taco or Tacoma, Toyota Tacoma. Those two highly popular trucks. You can spot an F-150 a mile away. It's very distinctive. All right. So this guy's driving a blue or two-toned F-150, and there is evidence that the shooter was driving an F-150 blue in color. So then you circle back, and didn't Tenon rent from the new husband, something like that?
Sure. So this all starts to unravel once they get locked onto Tenon. Once they get the truck, once they get him. And don't forget, Florida has the death penalty. And what a great negotiation tool to grab a defendant.
Hey, screw that technical legal term. Screw negotiating tool. If they're going to seek the death penalty, get the death penalty.
I understand that wholeheartedly. And you know this as a prosecutor. Sometimes that death penalty is going to be that one ounce of what you need to crack that one defendant that's going to lead you to 2 or 3 other ones, as obviously it did in this case. Now, obviously, the indictment is still sealed, so we don't have the facts. But I can tell you from working these types of cases and working homicide cases, you're going to find a theory of a few different things, because they grabbed Tenon first. What did Tenon do? I would imagine he probably did a controlled telephone call. I would imagine he potentially went and met the co-defendants.
So basically, I mean, if you're just now joining us, I was going to tell you kind of what was going on. These two guys met because the guy with the long hair on the right, he was giving Tenon he was renting to him. He was renting a unit to him. So the victim in this case, Jared's ex-wife, was remarried, and she got her new husband to hire this fellow. And he got caught on video, his truck. So that's how they ended up, getting him. And then after they, nailed him, he said, hey, I'll take a plea deal because I don't want to be sentenced to death, because this happened in Florida. And so he said, I'll sing like a canary if you just, make sure that I don't get the death penalty and I don't have to spend the rest of my life maybe in prison. So they're going to give him 15 to life. He said he's going to sing like a canary on the co-defendant. So that will be him and then the ex-wife. So it's a triangle square. It's a lot. It's even more than a square.
While he was wearing a wire and wearing a digital recorder, and he talked about the evidence. He talked about the crime, which led to the next defendant, which led to the next defendant. And lo and behold, all the evidence starts to come together and the indictments start to come in. I think you're going to find that, and the hardest part, I should say, is for the families being so long and taking so long and thinking nothing is going on. There's so much going on behind the scenes that you see what happens when it all comes together.
2 points.
They did it right.
To Dale Carson, joining me, high-profile criminal defense attorney out of the Jacksonville jurisdiction, former FBI agent, former cop, Miami-Dade, never a lack of business there, and author of Arrest Proof Yourself. You can find him at dalecarsonlaw.com. Dale Carson, I'm so glad you're with us today. This is something I had to argue to a couple of juries before. I don't like cutting deals with a co-defendant. Again, technical legal term. They can all go to hell together, stewing in the same pot till they get to the devil's supper table. But that said, I've often argued sometimes you got to go to hell to get the witness to put the devil in jail. And in this scenario, the state clearly believes the devil in this murder for hire is the ex-wife, that she is the mastermind. How about this, Dale Carson? Was it 70 phone calls between the new husband, Fernandez Saldana, and the alleged triggerman, Tenon? 70 phone calls. What were they talking about? Shopping at Target, and 3 checks from Fernandez Saldana to Tenon. Hello, what more do I need?
It wasn't the weather that they were talking about, that's for sure. And when you think about this from the very beginning, and we've been covering this here closely, who would know that Jared would have the kindness to stop in the middle of the road in the middle of the night and remove a tire so it didn't obstruct other people driving down the road? There probably is only one person in the world who knew that about him and was angry at him. And so those combination of events, including the DNA that's going to be found on that tire ultimately, and those kinds of things start putting this all together. And there's no question that the original trigger puller, he flipped almost immediately. And in Florida, and there's a spousal privilege. The spousal privilege is held not by one spouse against another, but only by that spouse. So if the new husband wishes to testify against her, it's not a problem, because he can remove that tendency to not talk about somebody else and allow his information, in order to avoid the death penalty, to go into the investigation again.
Okay. So they are saying that spousal privilege isn't going to come into play here. Just because they are technically married, she can't tell him to shut the hell up. If he wants to sing like a canary and say, it was all her, I didn't do any of this. They just knew each other, and I wasn't even the middleman. I didn't even know that they did this. They just did this behind my back. I wasn't even there. He's able to do that. Thank you, Be Happy, for the super sticker. I appreciate that. Look over here so I can actually see it. That's cute. Mario throw his wife under the bus. Giovanna, I'm pretty sure that's what he's going to do. I mean, it's a DP case, and he messed up big time. I mean, and I love the justice system. I do. I love the justice system because these two didn't even have, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mic, but these two didn't even have to be there. They just had to hire the guy, and they're going to be on death row, unless one of these two flips, which I still don't think that's going to matter because they have Arthur Tenon or whatever his name is. I forget his first name, but I want to call him Arthur. That's his middle name. But they have him saying that he is going to, talk and say everything that he knows about the co-defendant. So I don't see why they would even need to make a deal with either of these guys. To tell you the truth, they really don't need to. And the last person I would be making a deal with would be her. She's the ringleader. She's the one that got them all together. She's the catalyst. She should be the one that goes down with the sinking ship. So, in my opinion. Somehow, which one's the man? I had to read that twice. I was like, what? That's funny. That made me laugh. So I love Nancy more now than ever. This one is hitting me too hard. Nancy, I know, Steve. No, I was in Target and I was like, Nancy, because I could just hear her and I couldn't see her, and I was like, oh my gosh, it made me feel so bad because she's talking about her ex and stuff too, and and then I don't know if she said it yet, but she talks about her kids and she doesn't want to lose them like she lost her ex-fiance. It's sad when she says that. I was like, it hits you. But yeah, I don't know which one it is. Every picture she's in, she looks different. I have to show you. I don't know if you saw them when I was going through the slideshow, but there was one of her. There's two of her in there, and she looks way different than she does here with the muscles. So this must have been when she was in her gym era.
Against her, and remember this: there are text messages, there are phone calls, there are locations, there are any number of things which would point to collusion.
I want to point out something. The way the tire was set up, was it not, Rebecca Rosenberg, Fox News Digital, in the middle of the road, was that he had to get out of the car to go around it. It was an SUV he was driving, leaving his little baby girl strapped in the car in a car seat, who, Kirsten, didn't she keep saying, bang, bang, daddy's down?
She would repeat the bang, bang, daddy on the ground phrase quite often early on.
I don't remember hearing that today. Oh God.
Rebecca Rosenberg jump in. Wasn't that tire in the middle of the road? So he had to get out and move it. And only the ex-wife would have known that was his route home.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what prosecutors say, that they intentionally put that tire in the road to lure him from the car. And what I have always found incredibly haunting about this case is that there was no concern for Bexley, who was 2 at the time. When Tenon allegedly shot Jared, several bullets were lodged in the interior of the car within inches
of Bexley, just like.
I don't remember hearing this part. Where was I at in Target when this was going on? I must have been back in Joanne Gaines's aisle or something, because I don't remember this. And I see crazy stuff when I'm in Joanna Gaines's, aisle. But oh my God, that's tragic. So I knew that his daughter was with him. He had went to get her some ice cream, but I didn't realize that the bullets actually went into the vehicle. Now, that's heartbreaking. Does she just not care because it's not her kid? She knew he had his daughter with him. He had just left her house. Like, there's just no coming around that. I am so for the death penalty in Florida right now. Like, and and in the picture, there's so many pictures of them. Like, when you're doing true crime, a lot of times it's hard to find pictures of the victims to like for like your thumbnails and stuff, but there's a ton. And that I'm so thankful for his family for like that they're able to have those pictures. He was so included in his children's lives. For him being an executive at Microsoft, I'm sure that you put in a lot of hours to get that position. And I'm sure that you got to put in a lot more hours when you have the position. But it seems like he's always there. He was always there and present, it's very sad.
You're saying sitting there helpless in a car seat. Rebecca Rosenberg, you're right. Now, according to some, there is a heavenly hand at work in this prosecution. Take a listen to our cut 45.
There's not a doubt that Jared has been working overtime amongst the family, but also helping in the investigation. There's been a lot of really incredible breaks that had to happen for this day to come. And if you knew Jared, you knew that he does not give up. He's very focused, and he would make sure that our family got justice while we're still living. So I'm very, very grateful for that.
Adam Bridegan, that's your voice. Do you see your brother's hand in this investigation? Do you feel his presence?
Without a doubt, 100%. Jared has been working overtime, to say the least, not only on us as a family, on the healing side, and trying to help us have the patience to endure the last 18 months, and helping us to keep the faith and to have the strength to keep fighting when we wanted to, just say, maybe we'll never know. Maybe we will never get the answers. But he gave us the courage and the strength to do that. But when it comes to the investigation, absolutely. And I think in the future, when a lot of this comes to light and stories are able to be shared, I think there's going to be some really touching moments that we hear about where certain things happened and miracles ensued. And obviously we're people of faith, and that means a lot to us. But if you knew Jared and just how determined he was to do something when he set his mind to it, some might call that stubborn, but that's just how he was. And I know that he wanted to make sure that we as a family got answers to the questions, because I'm sure it was very painful for him.
Especially for his children to know exactly what happened and to know that someone cared and sought justice for their father. What exactly do we know about the arrest? Take a listen to our cut 37. This is the Florida State Attorney.
A Fourth Circuit grand jury indicted Shanna Gardner for first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, solicitation to commit first-degree murder, and child abuse, all related to the murder of Jared Bridegan, Shanna's ex-husband. Gardner was arrested shortly after and taken into custody by ATF Washington Field Division agents in West Richland, Washington. Gardner will be extradited to Duval County to face these charges. We will be filing a notice of our intent to seek the death penalty, as we have also done in the case of Mario Fernandez.
I'm very curious what led to the arrest of the ex at this juncture after so many months. Shanna Gardner-Fernandez, for those of you just joining us, now indicted. Do we have any idea how the arrest went down? Where was she? What happened? What do we know? Any idea, Rebecca Rosenberg?
We know it was about 9 a.m. It was a complete surprise. She was at inside her West Richland home that her parents bought for her late last year. She was there.
Wait a minute. Her parents are still footing the bill. The woman is 35 years old and her parents are still paying her way.
They have supported her whole life. They're very wealthy.
Okay.
And,
wait. Let me just get my head around something. Kirsten Bridegan, the love of money is the root of all evil, many people say. Where did her family get all those millions?
I don't know the complete history of their finances, but I do know that her parents own a very successful company based out of Riverton, Utah, called Stampin' Up, and I believe that a lot of their success comes from that.
Is it like a paper product company?
Yeah, it's an MLM that sells paper and stamps.
Okay, got it. So all that money, and at age 35, they're still footing the bill. I mean, Adam Bridegan, did she ever have an actual job?
Honestly, I have no idea. I can't speak to that, but yes, that's a great question.
Yeah, the idle hand is a devil's workshop. So I'm just wondering what she's been doing. I know she took the other children of Jared's out of the jurisdiction after his death. Back to you, Rebecca Rosenberg. What were you saying about the arrest? 9 a.m.
Yeah, it was 9 a.m. I believe local officials and ATF executed it, and she was not expecting them. It was a complete surprise. They arrested her, took her into custody. We know her mother, Shelly Gardner, was home at the time. I'm not sure if the kids were there, and she was.
Just imagine her getting arrested. I wonder if I know there has to be body cam out there. Eventually there'll be body cam probably out there of the arrest or video of it. But she looks like she's been sheltered her whole life. I'm just going to come out and say it. She probably was, because her parents are buying her a home in Washington, clear across the country. Okay. And they're going to buy her a home, and she's 35 years old. Can someone want to buy me a home? I just scrubbed my words away. Me too. No, you weren't. No, you weren't, Jan. You guys weren't in the book. No. I was like, just saw something and I was like, I'm just not going to even worry about this later. I'll just vent to Summer in a minute. And then I cleaned for I was scrubbing the floors. I was power steaming them. I like to clean. I'm a cleaner. When I'm stressed, I'm cleaning. So this woman, if she's like me, she's going to be cleaning a lot. At least she's built enough to, maybe go to prison and be put into a prison. But can you imagine the look on her face when she was arrested? She has twins with this guy. They're 10 years old. They're well aware of what's going on and what's happening. At 10 years old, you know what's going on. So I couldn't imagine being her kids right now. Those twins, I'm thankful that they have each other in that situation, but they don't have their other siblings, because since he was remarried, Kirsten, his wife or his new wife, she doesn't have any rights to children that aren't biologically hers. And there's something wrong with that sometimes. There really is, because sometimes the people that aren't taking care of your kids, or that are taking care of your kids when they're not the parent, sometimes those are the people that are best for them. Sometimes the parents aren't the best to be in their lives at that point in time. And now look what happened. Their father is dead and their mother is going to prison. She's already in jail. She's getting carted over to Florida.
Taken into custody, and now she's in the local jail awaiting extradition.
The ATF involvement indicates a UFAP, which is unlawful flight to avoid prosecution, and it's of interest that ATF was handling it because there may be a firearm connection to this matter and why the search was so abrupt.
Very, very good insight. That's coming from Dale Carson. I recognize his voice. Speaking of eating a dirt sandwich in court, having to go to hell to get the witness to put the devil in jail, take a listen to our cut 52, our friends at WJXT.
34-year-old Mario Fernandez is still in Orange County in the jail tonight.
34-year-old Fernandez is married to Jared Bridegan's ex-wife, Shanna Gardner-Fernandez. Bridegan was ambushed on a dark Jacksonville Beach road minutes after dropping his older two children off at their mother's house. Fernandez is accused of plotting the murder with his rental property tenant, 61-year-old Henry Tenon. Yesterday, Tenon pleaded guilty and agreed to testify against anyone he worked with for this crime.
Joining me right now, boy, do I need a shrink. Dr. Angela Arnold joining us out of the Atlanta jurisdiction. You can find her at angelaarnoldmd.com. This conjures up quite the image. These three like witches around a cauldron. You've got the ex-wife, Shanna Gardner-Fernandez, her brand new husband, Mario Fernandez Saldana, and then the alleged trigger man, Henry Tenon. He's the one that had all those 70 phone calls and 3 checks. I mean, really? You write a check? It reminds me of Jesse Smollett, who wrote his fake attackers actual checks, the Osadero brothers. I mean, a check? Okay, like we can't find that, but I can just see the 3 of them plotting and planning this, never giving a thought to the repercussions, as Adam said earlier, the ripple effects that are going to occur because of their heinous act. The 3 of them.
I'm wondering how much they offered this guy to do this. Henry, I keep calling him Arthur. That's his middle name. Henry Arthur. So because that, I mean, how do you, I don't know. I'm a loss for words, because do you just like talk to someone casually while you're just hanging out with them and you're just like getting a feel for what you think they would be able to do for you? And then you're like, oh yeah, he looks like he'd off somebody for me. I'm going to ask him. Like, how does that conversation even come about? And then you bring in the ex-wife, because I'm sure that the ex-wife got the new husband to get Arthur, or Henry Arthur to do all of this. It's probably was a trickle effect. But how did they convince them? The only thing I can think of is he was renting a property from them, and maybe that was what they got him with. They were like, hey, we will not charge you rent, or maybe we'll give you a house. I don't know. I don't know what the property looked like. I can only imagine if the guys look like that, Oh, finally done. Cooking. Yep. This is Florida, and they do their job there. They're pro death penalty. I mean, I wouldn't want to commit any crime in Florida. I wouldn't even want to get a parking ticket in Florida or Texas. I'm good on both. Oh, thank you, Mary Beth. She just gifted some memberships. She just gifted 5 memberships. Look at that. Thank you so much. Oh, that's so nice. What is Richie in here? I didn't see Richie. Is he okay? Is he good? Also, I didn't see him, but he's in here. Hopefully he is, because I know the weather's getting bad over there. She is fighting extradition from Washington. That's what her attorney said in court. I think that she's not fighting it any longer. I think that I have a clip from that. I'll double check though. I'm pretty sure.
Well, and Nancy, she doesn't have to give a thought to the repercussions, because as you've laid out today, her parents are still taking care of her at 35 years of age. Typically when that goes on, that person has never had to suffer any repercussions for any of their actions. So they basically trained her that whatever she did, she would get away with. And, I don't know if they know this or not, but unconsciously, that's what they were telling her every time they bailed her out, bought her a house, whatever they did. So she doesn't feel like there are any consequences for her actions. She also feels like she can have whatever she wants. So she wanted him dead, so she was going to make it happen. And I'm sure she never thought she was going to get caught.
To Kirsten Bridegan, this is Jared's wife. And you can find her on Insta at Justice for Jared B. She has created the Bridegan Foundation. Kirsten, isn't it true that the ex-wife's parents have the children?
I believe so, Nancy, because her mother, Shelley, was at the home when Shanna was arrested. I believe that they would stay with them. I do not see them relinquishing the kids. So I would expect that they will try to maintain custody. I don't know if Shanna even maybe gave them guardianship. That's all things that I don't know, but I would not be surprised.
have since Shanna Gardner-Fernandez took off out of the jurisdiction with Jared's other two children, Abby and Liam, has there been any attempt to get the four brothers and sisters together, Brexley and London, your children, with Abby and Liam?
Yeah, I have sent countless, I can't even tell you how many texts and emails to Shanna, Sterling, and Shelly Gardner asking for a minimum of a phone call or a FaceTime. And since April of 2022, I have been denied and ignored every single time.
That's going to be a legal battle right there about brother, sister, sibling rights, because you biologically do not have a claim on Abby and Liam. Their closest living relatives, I assume, are their grandparents on Shanna Gardner's side. But your children, Brexley and London, do have a biological claim, but they're minors. So that's a whole nother can of worms for you to sort out later. Right now, your eye on the prize of justice. So what is the connection between these three witches stirring their cauldron? Take a listen to our cut 53, WJXT.
34-year-old Mario Fernandez and 61-year-old Henry Tenon are both charged with conspiring to murder Jared Bridegan. According to an affidavit, Fernandez paid 3 handwritten checks to Tenon, who rented a room from Fernandez but didn't have any direct ties from the victim, investigators say. Detectives also found the two suspects had 35 phone contacts the month Bridegan was killed and continued to stay in touch afterward. A murder weapon has not been recovered.
70 calls in all. Back to Rebecca Rosenberg, Fox News Digital investigative crime reporter. What happens now?
Well, now we wait for Shanna to be extradited to Florida, and then she will go before a judge and enter a plea, and the discovery process begins. I mean, I think the real thing that everybody's waiting for is Mario or Shanna going to try to get a plea deal and turn on the other one? And how does that work legally with the two being married? Is that going to be an issue up on the other?
As soon as he's arraigned, she's arraigned, we'll get full discovery, which means the support affidavit for the arrest warrant. And that will give us details about it that we don't know.
You're absolutely right. Take a listen to our cut 54, WJXT.
The state attorney says Tenon admitted to shooting Bridegan, pleading guilty to second-degree murder. Fallgetter says it's now unlikely Tenon will be facing the death penalty, but Fernandez might.
It is a very heinous crime, and a contract murder deserves the death penalty in appropriate circumstances. But second of all, if the wife was involved, they would want to bring her to justice. So that would put pressure on him, rightfully so.
Fernandez's wife, Shanna Gardner-Fernandez, has previously denied being involved in the murder.
Don't you know this guy, the alleged trigger man, is singing as loudly as he can behind bars in his attempt to escape the death penalty himself? And I guarantee you the state has him locked in a written confession, a video confession, the works. I'm very curious. I doubt that Shanna Gardner-Fernandez is going to challenge extradition back to Florida where the crime occurred. Kirsten Bridegan, right now, what is your frame of mind? What are your thoughts? What's keeping you going?
Jared is, from day one, I have been determined to find justice for him, for our children. I am still on that path. Obviously, there's things I can't do that I need to rely on law enforcement and the state attorney's office to do for us. But whatever I can do, I will be doing. We will continue to pray for Liam and Abby that eventually, if not soon, we will be able to be reunited, that they can have the support of their family on their dad's side who loves them and cares about them and wants them to have a relationship with their entire family, not just one side. And that's our focus right now, is just keep the eye on the prize and let's get justice.
We wait. As God willing, justice unfolds. Goodbye, friend.
She said, goodbye, friend. Let me switch over for you guys. So I had just a couple of shorter videos I was going to show you guys about this case because it's pretty freaking interesting. And it's only going to get even more interesting because we haven't seen the discovery yet. So when they arrested her, when she's extradited back to Florida is, from what I'm gathering, is when they'll start releasing like the PCA, I guess, and stuff, like the reason, you know, the affidavits in support of the arrest. So we'll be able to read over all of that. And there probably will be a lot of things that the family wasn't even aware that the police knew, you know, prior to this, because they have this whole, you know, this whole testimony from Arthur Tenon that's in jail right now. He's ready to go to prison. He's like, I'm cool. I did it 15 years. I'm ratting everybody out with me. So do you think that he's going to just tell her, like, just excuse her? No, she has no connection to him other than the husband. He has no skin in the game with her. You know, he's going to be like, she put me up to it. It was all her. I did move Nancy a little bit earlier because I was like, oh, she's over in the corner. She needs to be closer. So if you're wondering why Nancy moved, I hope I didn't scare anybody. But it's just a couple, like, you know, they're like 15-minute clips. But so the first one I'm going to show you is just going to go over the arrest of his, you know, or Shanna, her arrest, I'm sorry. And she is the ex-wife of Jared. And she's been indicted on the murder. And I read you all the other charges. Child abuse was one, conspiracy. So she's got some pretty heavy charges coming her way. And then in the next, I think it's the next one, it'll tell us if she's waiving her right to extradition or not. And I'll double check. I'll look it up too. So while we're watching this one, I'm going to look it up to see what's going on. See what the latest and greatest is. And thank you guys again for being here. I really do appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day, you know, to come and spend time with me. I really do appreciate that. If you guys have any questions about this case, just let me know in the chat. And if I don't know the answers, because we're just starting, I will definitely look it up for you guys. So.
Turning our attention now to Florida, where we are expecting a major update in the murder investigation of Microsoft executive Jared Bridegan. It could be coming down at any moment. Mario Fernandez Saldana, who is the husband of Bridegan's ex-wife, is already charged with first-degree murder in the February 2022 shooting death of Bridegan. The exec was gunned down in a Jacksonville Beach neighborhood just moments after he dropped off his 2 children that he shared with his ex-wife. Prosecutors say he was ambushed after stopping to remove a tire in the road. The state attorney's office has stated that they're going to be announcing a significant development in that case today. And we're going to take you there live as soon as that press conference begins. While we wait, though, here's a look back at the case from Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson.
Jared Bridegan appeared to have it all. A new job as a Microsoft executive, living in sunny Florida with his wife Kirsten and 4 children.
We had just had London. She was 6 months old. So things were good.
Kirsten had 2 children with Jared, London and Bexley. They also shared custody of his 9-year-old twins from a previous marriage.
On the week that we did not have the oldest 2 kids at our home, Jared would take them out to dinner. It was referred to as date night in this agreement.
The agreement kept Jared and Kirsten in Florida because Bridegan and his ex-wife Shanna Gardner-Fernandez were in a bitter custody dispute. What was that relationship like, he and his ex-wife?
The relationship between us and his ex-wife was not cordial. Our communications were always in writing because there was not mutual trust between the 2 households.
On February 16, 2022, Jared had one of his scheduled daddy date nights. After dinner, he dropped off his twin daughter and son at his ex-wife's home in Jacksonville Beach, Florida, and headed home to St. Augustine. On the way, he stopped to get his 2.5-year-old daughter Bexley ice cream. She was in the back seat of his SUV. He then called Kirsten, telling her he loved her and would be home soon. How did you learn something was wrong?
As time started ticking by and the time that they're usually home passed, I can't even describe it. Like,
I just knew something's not right.
Her fears became reality after an officer answered Jared's cell phone, telling her Bexley was unharmed. But they needed her to come by the police station to hear about her husband.
They later on that night told me that he had been shot. Where did this happen? Because he usually gets in the car and just drives home. I had talked to him.
Jared was not a victim of any robbery gone wrong or carjacking. Police say he was the victim of a targeted attack on a one-way road he traveled often. Jared came across a tire police say was intentionally placed right here in the middle of the road in the sanctuary neighborhood of Jacksonville Beach, Florida. That's when someone came out of these woods and ambushed the father of four, killing him on the spot. For almost a year, no answers. Then in January 2023, a break in the case.
Henry Tenon was arrested for the following crimes: conspiracy to commit murder, second-degree murder with a weapon, accessory after the fact to a capital felony, and child abuse.
Now investigators say that Tenon has pleaded guilty in the case and admitted to shooting Bridegan.
Henry Tenon pled guilty to murdering Jared Bridegan. Henry Tenon has admitted that he in fact was the shooter.
According to court records, Tenon once lived in this house that was once owned by Bridegan's ex-wife's current husband.
Our investigation has revealed a single link between Jared Bridegan and Henry Tenon. That is Mario Fernandez Saldana.
And now investigators have charged that husband, Mario Fernandez Saldana, with first-degree murder.
And the grand jury has returned an indictment charging Fernandez Saldana with first-degree murder. In addition to the first-degree murder charge, the grand jury also has indicted Fernandez Saldana for conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, solicitation to commit a capital felony, as well as child abuse. First-degree murder, this is a capital felony punishable by death or mandatory life in prison.
Jared's ex-wife and her new husband, Mario Fernandez, have denied any involvement in his murder. Gardner-Fernandez has since relocated to Washington State with the twins she shared with Jared.
Joining me now to discuss this case, Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson. Also in St. Paul, Minnesota, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Jack Rice. And in Atlanta, criminal defense attorney Josh Schiffer. So good to have you all on as we are waiting to see what this prosecution is going to say. Matt, let me start with you. Every time that we've heard a press conference being announced with the same term, development in the case, it's been something major and it's been an arrest. What do you think it may be today?
Well, I think that we're going to hear more details about Henry Tenon and what information he has been providing. Because again, Julia, he has pled not guilty in this case, and he said that he will willfully and honestly testify against any co-conspirators. And the way that they left the last press conference in their announcement of the arrest of Saldana Fernandez, you know, they said that there could be another arrest pending and soon. So maybe we will see that today.
Jack Rice, if there's another arrest, what kind of information or evidence do you think they would have been able to uncover once the husband of the ex-wife was behind bars?
Incredibly important when you can realize that personal specific information that shows that this was a hit. Because what you're really looking for is contemplate where it is that this man was actually murdered and who would have known about it, who specifically would have known where he was going, when he was going there, and the ability to reach. This really supports a very slow, methodical approach from the police as they arrest, and then they say, who are your connections? How are those people connected to the potential murdered victim? And then you work your way out like throwing a small rock into a pond and watch that just roll outwards. And that's exactly what they did in this case.
In the rolling outwards of this case, Josh Schiffer, what other charges would you anticipate could be coming down the pipe? I know we already have first-degree murder. Second-degree murder is what the alleged hitman is going to plead guilty to. But talk to me about what other crimes or charges could be coming down.
Well, like Matt and Jack are talking about, as this case expands, we may be adding additional people as well as additional evidence that's been developed. That additional evidence can support new charges. everything from using the the tools of interstate commerce like telephones in a conspiracy. There's literally dozens of potential charges that the state's going to be able to decide on using their inherent discretion through the electoral and prosecutorial process. This has been that slow developing case specifically because they didn't have great answers on the outset of who might be involved. Only by leaning on the people that they do know involved, using the powers of subpoenas, search warrants, things like that to develop additional evidence. That's how they've gotten to this part of discovering the story.
Josh,
and I think
Melissa
they're going to
Nelson,
drop big
Josh, I hate to
news.
cut you off. Melissa Nelson, the state attorney there in Jacksonville, Florida, is about to speak. Let's go in live.
Everybody, thank you for joining us on what will be my last public update on the investigation of the murder of Jared Bridegan on February 16th of 2022 in Jacksonville Beach. I'm joined today by our law enforcement partners, Chief Gene Paul Smith of the Jacksonville Beach Police Department and many of his staff, Special Agent Bob Bryson of ATF Jacksonville, and Jacksonville Beach Mayor Hoffman. We are also joined by Jared's widow, Kirsten, Kirsten's parents, and Jared's brothers, Adam and Justin, and Adam's wife. Thank you for being here today. We promised at the outset of this investigation we would not relent until we uncovered the truth of Jared's murder, the whole and entire truth. This morning, a Fourth Circuit grand jury indicted Shanna Gardner for first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, solicitation to commit first-degree murder, and child abuse, all related to the murder of Jared Bridegan, Shanna's ex-husband. Gardner was arrested shortly after and taken into custody by ATF Washington Field Division agents in West Richland, Washington. Gardner will be extradited to Duval County to face these charges. We will be filing a notice of our intent to seek the death penalty, as we have also done in the case of Mario Fernandez. I cannot stress enough the extraordinary commitment and teamwork of the folks on the stage with me today, the Jacksonville Beach detectives, ATF agents, and our prosecutors in this case. While too many to name, I would like to personally commend some folks. Chief Smith, Jacksonville Beach detectives Chris Johns and Jason Lamont, ATF Special Agent Bryson and his team of special agents and intelligence analysts at ATF Jacksonville office, including Lindsay Butler, Alyssa Simmons, and Nick Stengel. And our prosecution team, led by Assistant State Attorney Christina Stifler, including Lee Wingard, Homicide Director Alan Mizrahi, Chief Assistant Lee Hutton, and First Assistant Stephen Siegel, and our victim advocate, Mackenzie Roden. This investigation has uncovered the truth of Jared's murder. Henry Tenon did not act alone, Mario Fernandez did not plan alone, and Shanna Gardner's indictment acknowledges her central and key role in the cold, calculated, and premeditated murder of Jared Bridegan. We will provide copies of the indictment, and all other evidentiary details and information will be provided during the discovery process. Thank you all for being here today and providing the public of this development.
There you have it from the state attorney there in the Fourth Circuit of Florida, Melissa Nelson, saying that these other two people did not act alone. The wife is now charged, ex-wife of this victim, father of four, Jared Bridegan. Let's bring back in everyone who's standing by, crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson, Josh Schiffer, and Jack Rice. So important, we know that this was likely coming down. Matt, your reaction to this being what the state attorney is now saying, and she says this is her last public update.
This is the moment that the widow that was standing there next to this, the DA, has been waiting for. She has been waiting for this additional charge to come down. And she had suspected all along in telling me that there was just such a divisive relationship with the ex and with their divorce and their agreement with the children. She had suspected that something wasn't right from the get-go. And today, again, you heard right there this breaking news that the ex-wife has been charged, and it's the same charges that Mario Saldana faces, her estranged husband, who she moved from, like, she was living in Florida with him, and then she ended up moving to Washington, where she was taken into custody. So it's first-degree murder, conspiracy, solicitation to commit felony, capital murder, and child abuse, because again, the toddler was in the back seat of this car and witnessed it all happen, Julia. Not a surprise here, but a resolution, and now it's the next steps. And it was really poignant that she said that this is her last update. So no more updates until we're in court on this one.
No updates from the state attorney's office. Curious to see what the family may say at this point. But Josh Schiffer, your reaction to this being the final charge? That's what the prosecution is saying, that they aren't going to be making any public updates, so likely no more arrests in this case.
I love the confidence in the state's attorney and starting off the press conference with that. This is going to be my final announcement. She's done her job. Her office has done her job. And just like Matt said, brought a tremendous relief to this family. This widow and these kids eventually will grow up to know that the system did effectively pursue the people behind their father and husband's murder. Not unexpected, definitely a defensible case due to the tenuousness of the connections, but I'm willing to bet the state has some good evidence it's going to share as the case progresses.
Jack, this is 3 defendants. One of them is already pleading out in this case, and we hear conspiracy. Would you try them together? Do you think their defense attorneys will try to separate this husband and wife?
Well, I can tell you, I've been in this space before, and anytime you have co-defendants, especially those who are not charged and those who are cooperating, it's a petrifying experience to walk into, because sometimes you don't know what it is that the state knows. Yes, it's a discovery piece, but it's still very hard. And there's that wild card of that person who could come in and testify as to what was going on the inside. But at least now what we're really seeing, and this is really what the prosecutor did so well, and I think really sort of solidifies the power of what they have now, is they have motive. They have this connection between the ex-wife and Saldana. And those two, if you watch that, you watch the drive that runs from one piece to the next to the next. And what you want for a jury always when you're prosecuting or defending a case is you want to be able to explain the facts, but you also want to explain why. Why is it that something like this could happen? Why is it that somebody would actually be willing to go to the extent of actually murdering another human being? And now what you have is that direct connection between the ex-wife and Saldana. And that's incredibly important when it talks about something like a conviction in a case like this, especially on a second-degree murder charge.
Matt, you've been reporting on this. You've been out there to Jacksonville at the crime scene. But I want to ask you about this ex-wife. I don't think you've been all the way out to Washington to see where she was. But tell me about what happened after this murder of Jared Bridegan. They shared 2 children together. Did she get full custody, that distancing? When did that happen? And is there going to be a similar extradition as there was for her husband?
Right. You know, when you look at this case and the way that it played out, Julia, you had her as a person of interest or someone that may have had knowledge from the get-go who was not cooperating with authorities because, again, she was the last person to have seen this victim, her ex-husband, alive. And then he's leaving her house after dropping off their 2 children. And then, you know, in a one-way road where he traveled each and every time he had his daddy date night, he had to move this tire out of the road. He couldn't pass it. They knew that he was going to be there. That's why we have this conspiracy charge and we have these allegations from this district attorney. But she has really very much over the last couple of weeks and months tried to distance herself from the 2 gentlemen that have been charged in all of this, including her current estranged husband, because again, she moved to Washington State. She lives in a house paid for by her parents who are multimillionaires in the Pacific Northwest, and she cut all ties with him. And now that brings us to today, where she is actually charged in all of this, and she will be extradited back to Florida.
Will be in Florida, and we will be following the developments in this case. Thank you all 3 for all of that information.
Okay, sorry about that. I was trying to read that because I thought maybe it was something to do with this case, but it wasn't. I wanted to show you guys one more video. Let me see here. Let me see. That's what I say all the time. So personally, what I'm thinking, I'm going to scratch my arm again. I'm thinking that the motive behind all of this, the only thing I can think of, I don't really think it's monetary so much. And I mean, maybe it is, maybe it's that too, because they do have 2 kids together. But I'm thinking it's more of because of the custody over the twins. They were having a custody battle over their twins. So take him out. You don't have any more problems. You don't have the custody's problem is gone. The new wife can't come and take the kids because she's not biologically their mother, and the father's out of the picture. Then you got just their mom. Now, I think that they said that the kids were with the grandmother of the kids. Sorry. But that I'm not 100% sure on, but that's what they're all saying. So now I'm going to bring you into like the newest update. And I think, I'm not sure who said that she was fighting extradition, but I think that she is fighting it. For some reason, I thought I heard that she wasn't fighting it. But we'll find out for sure, because I didn't get to watch all of this video all the way through. I just got to watch a little bit of it. Try not to scratch my arm. It's just really itching tonight, guys. But it's going to have Kirsten Bridegan. Jared's wife is going to be on this show, just like she was kind of on Nancy Grace's show. And she's just going to talk about, what kind of is going on and the newest in the case. So this came out today. Wow. I thought it did, but I didn't know that it came out I thought it might have been last night. So yeah, this came out today. This woman does not get a day off. Poor lady. Boy, she dropped down on her second marriage. Riddler, that's what I said. I was like, what's going, this is, I was like, this is just a little weird. Because you went from a good-looking guy, looks like he comes from a good family. His brother seems like a nice gentleman. I mean, you can only see so much, but, has a really good job. You have children with this person. I mean, I'm just like, those are things that you would keep you there, you would think. Then she decides to leave him, and she hooks up with that guy. Like, she fell down. She fell hard. She fell down real hard. And maybe we'll get more details into that relationship as we get more documents and stuff start to come out. Because when they do extradite her, that's when we'll start to get discoveries and like PCAs and like probable cause for the reason why they arrested her and stuff like that. And like I said earlier, I think there's going to be a lot of things that we don't know because the cops keep a lot of things to the, close to the vest whenever they're doing an investigation, especially something of this magnitude where there's 3 different suspects that you're trying to find and you're trying to connect them and you're trying to get all of your ducks in a row. I think we're going to see a lot more. And before I play this, if you guys don't mind hitting the like button, it really does help the channel. And what was I going to say? One more thing I was going to tell you guys to do. Oh, and if you do want me to cover this case like more in depth and, just keep on covering it, just make sure that you do the poll that I have posted, and we'll end the poll here in a few minutes at the end of the live. So, and thank you guys all for being here.
Good evening to you and welcome back to Closing Arguments. I'm Julie Grant, sitting in this week for Vinnie Politan. And we start this hour for you with some brand new developments we've got in the Microsoft executive murder case. Jared Bridegan was tragically gunned down in February of last year. And investigators say the father of 4 was the victim of an ambush attack in Florida, being shot just yards away from his 2-year-old daughter. 3 people are now charged in connection with his murder. Henry Tenon, who pleaded guilty to being the trigger man. He's going to be a testifying witness. Also, Mario Fernandez Saldana. He's the husband of the victim's ex-wife, who authorities say played a key role in planning and plotting the murder. And on Thursday, we got that big breaking news we shared with you that Bridegan's ex-wife, Shanna Gardner-Fernandez, is now also charged and under arrest for Jared Bridegan's murder. Let's take a quick look together at that bombshell moment.
We promised at the outset of this investigation we would not relent until we uncovered the truth of Jared's murder, the whole and entire truth. This morning, a Fourth Circuit grand jury indicted Shanna Gardner for first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, solicitation to commit first-degree murder, and child abuse, all related to the murder of Jared Bridegan, Shanna's ex-husband. We will be filing a notice of our intent to seek the death penalty, as we have also done in the case of Mario Fernandez. This investigation has uncovered the truth of Jared's murder. Henry Tenon did not act alone. Mario Fernandez did not plan alone. And Shanna Gardner's indictment acknowledges her central and key role in the cold, calculated, and premeditated murder of Jared Bridegan.
Now, earlier today, Kirsten Bridegan, who is Jared Bridegan's widow, sat down with Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson for an exclusive interview talking about her reaction to these latest charges.
It has been such a relief. I feel like a heavy weight has been lifted off my shoulders with this last arrest. I know there's a lot still to come, but right now we're feeling good and we're feeling positive. I don't even know how to put it into words, the feeling that we have. You know, there's a sense of happiness that finally this is happening, something that we have felt would be coming, but also sadness for Liam and Abby and what that means for them. So very complicated emotions, but overall we are feeling good and we are looking forward to justice being served. I wanted them held accountable, and I wanted my kids to know they are off the streets. They are not going to harm our family anymore. And so it's a very good feeling to know that there have been 3 arrests in this case. They can't tell us the evidence. So, you know, we just have to have faith that it's by the book. They have enough evidence. It's a strong case. And we're holding to that hope and that belief. And hopefully that'll play out that way in court. For me, it's important to be there to show not only Jared that we're fighting for him, but to show the community, like, we're still here. Thank you for the support. We're still fighting. And to show those involved in his murder, we're not going anywhere. No matter how tough it will get, we will be here. We will be looking you in your face, and we will be hoping for justice.
Oh, our hearts go out to Kirsten Bridegan, of course. Let's bring in our think tank now tonight. Joining us in San Diego, California, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Brian Watkins. And also in Los Angeles, California, criminal defense attorney Lada Uretzian. And in Los Angeles, it's a Los Angeles night, isn't it? Deputy Public Defender for LA County, Philip Dubé. Wonderful to see you all. Thank you so much for being with us. Okay, the Jared Bridegan case. Wow, this was one of those developments that I think probably didn't shock a lot of people. Maybe the most shocked person might be Shanna Gardner-Fernandez tonight. She better get a good lawyer on her hands. That's why we've got all of you here tonight. How might she defend this? My goodness, let's start there. Ladies first, Lada Uretzian, let me begin with you, if I may, please.
Thank you. So in this case, how might she defend herself? One of the issues that I have here is I'm not really quite sure what the motive is, other than this contentious divorce that they'd gone through or were going through. So, and you know, each one has their separate families and children. So it's not clear to me what the motive is. The one thing that I'm sure her lawyers are going to have to bring up is maybe she wasn't part of this. This is something that her husband did on his own, and she had zero knowledge of any of the planning, or point the finger at Mr. Tenon that he did this. But of course, Mr. Tenon is pointing the finger at, I'm sure, at her and her husband. So it's going to be interesting to see what's coming. But I mean, I can't think of anything else other than her claiming lack of knowledge.
Right. Appreciate that, Lada. And we know that Henry Tenon has also agreed to be a cooperating witness at trial. He is yet to be sentenced. It's going to certainly be contingent upon if he does cooperate and testify truthfully for the state of Florida. And we know they have filed their notice to seek the death penalty against his co-defendant, Mr. Mario Fernandez Saldana, and we expect the same for Shanna Gardner-Fernandez. What might happen with those two? That's what I want to know. The husband and wife, is one of them going to turn on the other? Brian Watkins, let me bring you in on this point. What do you think about that, please?
You know, the prosecution doesn't have to prove motive, and that's a big advantage for the prosecution. The problem here in this case for the defense is the deal's already been cut with the trigger man. So now we know what happened. And so there's really no incentive to make a deal with anyone else. And so you say, is anyone going to turn on the other person? I don't think they care. I don't think they're going to offer him a deal. I think that everybody who's left is going down, and they've already offered the deal to the person who's the trigger man, and he's going to give them everything they need to know. And they don't want to know anything else from anybody else. And so they're going to be in a tough situation because there will be no deals to be cut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said, Brian.
I pushed a different button on accident. Sorry. I feel the same way. I don't think they're going to really do any more deals. They don't really need to. They have the trigger man, the person that did the crime, in custody, and he's saying, I'm going to tell you the people that put me up to it. So very crazy. Good night, Isabel. We're about done with our live anyway. So you're right at the end of it. Thanks for staying up with us. I know it's very late there. Doggy's probably snoring on you.
Philip Dubé, the strength of the state's case, something you have to assess often during criminal defense work. In this one, how strong is it? Is it so strong that they may not even need Mr. Tenon, or do you think he's going to be vital for them? Give us your take, please.
Oh, I think he's absolutely going to be vital, because if he was the gunman and he was put up to it by her, then they absolutely need him to testify to make her a co-conspirator or an accomplice to the underlying homicide. Otherwise, they can't get her, let alone a death verdict. So, yeah. But the real question, I think, for the jury is going to be, what would be in it for her? I mean, they were already divorced. I mean, what would really come to a halt? The custody proceedings? There was already a visitation schedule worked out between her and dad. They were already on pretty good terms where he would pick the kids up, spend time with them, drop them off. Unless there was some type of unannounced life insurance proceeds out there where she was maybe named a beneficiary, where she could use that as a money grab for her and the twins, maybe. But so far, I don't think we have enough evidence. And of course, Mr. Tenon will cooperate because he's getting a second degree. He's going to get 15 life and a shot at parole after 15 years. And the truth be told, he'll probably get it.
Appreciate it, Philip. And you're raising great points. I want to share a little bit of information I was able to get through our Matt Johnson and his reporting work in talking to Kirsten Bridegan. She said that the terms that they were on were so bad and there was no trust between either family, that everything was in writing. And there was this bitter custody battle going on. Don't really know the exact particulars, but they were feuding pretty bad in the court system. And I certainly understand your point. What do you have to gain by taking out the father of two of your kids? I mean, it's horrible. And so to Lada's point, going back to where we started, she might say, my gosh, I would never want this to happen here. Can we expect the death penalty for her, Lada? Because we know her husband, he's already received the notice that they're going after that for him in Florida. Would you think they're going to do the same with her?
I wouldn't be surprised if they did the same thing for her. I mean, if they did it for her husband, guess what? She's the mother of the two children. If he was executed in front of a child, who's a 2-year-old who's in the car, I don't see what the difference is, female versus male. It should be the same. And again, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I'm expecting that.
Appreciate it so much, Lada. Something else we want to share with you all tonight. So Jared Bridegan, his 2-year-old daughter, Bexley, was the one who was in the backseat of the car yards away from him when he was gunned down in the middle of the street, trying to move a tire that was strategically placed there. Following the shooting, Bexley was transported to the local police department there that didn't have basic supplies to care for, a little child like that. So since then, Kirsten Bridegan shared with Court TV today that she started a foundation to help ensure that authorities are better equipped in the event that any child is put in a similar situation. We hope that never happens, but let's take a little bit of a listen now to what that foundation is all about, how you at home can donate if you'd like.
So we started the Bridegan Foundation in honor of Jared, and our main initiative is the Bexley Box. It's a kit full of supplies for children and young victims who may have to spend some time away from their caregiver or without the essentials like diapers, sippy cups, snacks, things like that. So if people want to help, they can go to brideganfoundation.org, make a donation, learn more about what we do, or if they have a connection with a sheriff's office or police department and they think there's a need, please reach out and we would be happy to work with them.
BrideganFoundation.org. There it is. Our think tank is going to be with us all evening. Want you to do the same, please. We have to hit a break right now.
Oh, I had it muted. I was like, oh, I was just talking to myself for a minute. You know how that goes. Let me stop sharing the screen there because that's too many people on the screen. Too many people. Just me and Nancy now. Or I always go the wrong way. That was funny, Isabel. You guys always get me. You always get me whenever you say like you guys will say something funny in the chat and it just makes me laugh. Because it is like the Waltons. Night, John. They all say goodnight to each other. We do that though. That's funny. And it's like, who can be the last one? I did a TikTok and I never put it on. I never ended up uploading it, but I should have because it was pretty funny. But you ever notice when you're on the phone with somebody that's been in customer service like their whole life, like they always have to get like the last thank you in or the last like goodbye or the last like I love you. Like you'll notice it next time. Somebody that's like super into customer service, been in the customer service game their whole life, or like serving, like they're a waitress, waiter, something like that. I had a phone call and it was like back and forth like that for like 5 minutes. And I did a TikTok on it and I never uploaded it. I'll have to find it. But it was because it was pretty funny. So that's what she wants to. Brooklyn, she wants the babies. She wants the twins. But since she's not like biologically, like Nancy Grace was saying, that there are ways for her to go around, like go about it. Like his brother, for instance, his brother is still alive. His brother, like if you go down the family line, it would be grandparents and then like siblings, but something could be done there. So I'm hoping that they can. Is that you, Richie? That's me, customer service. It really is. That's me too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No, thank you. No. Thank you. No, thank you. It was like that on the phone thing all the time. I think I was on the phone. Maybe it was with a buyer or something. I can't remember. It was something for the boutique part. And I was just like, I got off the phone and I was like, we just said thank you like 15 times to each other. So I'm gonna shut the poll down, but I think everybody's in agreement that everyone wants to like pretty much cover the case. So 82%, we had 88 votes, which we had about, I don't know how many concurrent people in the chat, but around there, a little over. So I think that's a pretty good amount. I think this is going to turn into a lot of good stuff, like a lot of details that we didn't know about, we just started this case today, but prior to today. And I think that his wife is going to find out a lot of things. I hope that they're really strong and they can handle all of that, which they seem that they are. They're a faith-based family. I know that sometimes, when you're faith-based, that works for you, that helps you. You have someone there to talk to and help guide you. And I think that them saying like Jared's helping them, that's like a reassurance for them. And I love that for them because he is helping. And I can't believe she would think that she wouldn't get caught because she put a tire in the middle of the road when the only person that knew that he was traveling down that road would have been her or his new wife, but she was at home with kids. I could vouch for her. Like, oh, I was reading the chat. Sorry. I was like, what? Oh, you're welcome, Brooklyn. And I'm wondering if they're going to flip on each other. PKC. Exactly. We don't need a repeat, a rinse and repeat with two, really. Really. Take that into the court. The court should take that into account. And they probably will at some point. Like, she just got arrested. And I swear that I thought she was wasn't fighting extradition, but everywhere I've read, she is fighting the extradition. So if it changes, I'll let you guys know. But as of right now, which that means that, I just like put my fingernail on my chin. But basically what that means is they're just going to go through the court process and then they're going to extradite her anyway. They're not going to save her. Washington ain't going to say we're not going to send her over to Florida. They're going to book her over there, book her a one-way ticket. Bye, Richard. See, I feel like when there's this is just my personal thing. I feel like when there is a crime like this, that like, I just feel like his family should have the kids. I feel like, I mean, no offense to her family or anything like that, but I just feel like they should. I wonder if she has one. They might. I think they have everything kind of sealed up for right now until they like are shipping her over. Let me see. Let's see. I didn't see one when I was. No, I don't think there is. No, not yet. She looks different in every picture, I feel like, though. Like that one, she had brown hair, and then she had blonde hair, and then she had long hair, short hair. I mean, I know a lot of people like cut their hair and make it longer, but it's just like a lot. They deserve to be with their siblings. Exactly. And they're just, I mean, they're going to grow up and then they're going to be resentful if they don't have that connection with her. And she's saying she's wrote emails, she's texted them, she's done everything in her power in order for them to be able to see each other, or just at least a FaceTime call or a phone call. And she hasn't gotten anything. And that's just really sad because it's not her fault. It's their daughter's fault. So I don't get it, but I'm neither here nor there, What are we keeping for Halloween? I don't know. Oh, I thought maybe it was something I said. What are we keeping though? Summer, my boss's favorite thing is Big Ash. I appreciate you a lot, but love you even more. Now get to work. That sounds like my boss when I had one. When I before my last job, when I was working in when I was a server. I never wanted to work. I was always hiding in the office with the managers. I was fun. Why not? I didn't want to work. No, I did. I didn't mind working. It was just hour 6 or something, in, and I was a smoker at the time and we couldn't smoke at work. And I would just start to get a little heated about hour 6. I didn't like to serve tables anymore. But I always still smiled, and that was always my problem. I just always would be like gritting my teeth trying to smile. But I'm glad Ashley got her food. That sucks, Ashley, that they said, oh, we forgot to put your order in and the kitchen's closed. The fuck? I said, is this the movie Waiting? Am I in the movie Waiting right now? Like, that's what I thought of whenever you said kitchen's closed. My boss right now. One wheel with a tumbler of Captain Morgan. That's awesome. That's the kind of boss to have. That is awesome. Okay. Yeah, Steve, where are you from? Where are you from? Did you say where you were from in here? You said any further north, Canada. I don't know where you're from. I'm wondering now. I'm curious to know. You've seen it, Ashley? I love that movie too. I was a server for like 10 years altogether. So that movie got me through a lot of hard shifts. Have a hard shift, you go home, you watch Waiting. And then you are happy again because it literally, whoever wrote that script, they had to have been servers. There's no way that they weren't. There just wasn't. And welcome in. Is it Foifa? Foifa? How you say it, Summer? You'll tell me later. Foifa? Oh, Michigan. I knew that. I don't know. I was thinking more more out west, but you told me before Michigan. I knew that. Probably not too far from me. I mean, Michigan's not too far from Ohio. It's like, I mean, on the border, I don't know how far from me. I mean, maybe 5 hours or something. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I should know, but I'm not sure. Faux pas. Like that, faux pas? Faux pas. Oh, yeah, faux pas. Okay, okay. You guys had to spell it out for me. If you would have spelled it like P-H-O, I would have probably been like faux. That's, for some reason, I would have thought that was faux. Faux pas. I like that name. It's cute. That's a cute name. You guys come up with some cute stuff on YouTube. You loved being a servant, crying in the walk-in. It's different. Going through every emotion before you walk out to your table hits different in an alley full of like 20 servers, you know? I used to think that when I served, the worst thing about serving was when one person got negative energy. You could like physically feel it like bouncing off everyone, and then everybody was just in a piss mood by the end of the night. I served at Red Lobster for 5 years, and I would not take 1 second of that back because I met like the most incredible people, had made the like best money really just for like serving some tables. I mean, it was a hard work. It was really hard work. But at the end of the night, you left with a bunch of money. And then you go have some beers, and then you would go do it all again. Couldn't do that now. Couldn't do it. I love Red Lobster too. I haven't been there since forever. Like, not since I quit. I mean, it's been a while, but I should go back to the one where I used to work because they have the best food. They used to anyway. And you know, it's hard to get good food nowadays, I feel like. So I might have to go down there and see everybody. But I'm going to jump off here for the evening. Tomorrow, we're going to go, I think, back over. I was thinking, why am I thinking Carly Russell? Gosh, it's been a long day, guys. Rachel Morin. Why was I thinking, I'm thinking that because Cheryl was asking me about Carly Russell earlier, and I wrote her name down. I couldn't get her out of my mind now. I'm hoping there's an update. So I'm going to look, Cheryl, for an update also on Carly Russell. And if there's an update, that would be nice because that live last time was a lot of fun. We needed that Carly Russell in our life. Yeah, 70 calls between the men. Yep. Riddler, and I'm wondering, I want to see those text messages. I want to read them all. I want to know all that. So when we get those documents start to come in, I'll make sure I get on here and I read them to you guys and we figure out what's going on. Because I would love to know what was said in the text messages, phone calls. I'm telling you, Henry, he kept something, or he kept something. He kept a text message, or he kept a document. He kept something probably just to have in case something were to happen. I don't know. He just seems like he probably would. I mean, if he's going to take money from somebody to, you know, go shoot a man that he doesn't even know, or I don't know if it was money or a home or what they offered him, then he's probably bound to do anything. But thank you guys for being here, and I will see you guys all tomorrow, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, I think around October, maybe the first week of November, we're going to switch our lives from 8:15 to 7:15 because it'll start getting darker faster, and your girl will want to go to bed sooner. I usually don't stay up very late in the winter. So, and I don't think a lot of people do. So we'll probably just need to scoot it back to like 7:15. But I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next live. Have a good night. Bye, guys.